you on Redacted Tonight, everybody check out Redacted Tonight on YouTube, on RT America. You just did kind of the top censored stories in 2021, I believe it was. And the top censored story apparently was there is a new leading death. What's driving deaths, the new leader apparently for senior citizens, you would think COVID would be really high up there, but there's something else that's now one of the leaders in terms of fatalities for senior citizens.
Yeah, so I went over the stories from Project Censored. Everyone should check them out if you get a chance. They do both a book and a website, but they come up with the top 25 most censored stories of the past year, each and every year. And this, I only had time to go through some of them on Redacted Tonight, but one of the top ones is that prescription non-adherence, medical non-adherence by elderly, by our the elder folks in America, senior citizens, will become the number one cause of death, surpassing all of the others that are so common in the next 10 years. Because, and this is kind of something people probably know in the back of their mind, but they've never heard it said like this, and it gets no coverage, that you have millions of Americans, senior citizens, that choose not to take the medications they're told to, the medications that have been recommended by doctors or hospitals, or they choose not to even go and get their problems analyzed because they can't afford that either. And they do it because it would just cost too much and they're not going to pay that money. Maybe they even had the visit with the doctor. The doctor said, this is what you need to take, and they don't have insurance, and they look into how they could pay for it, how they could get it. And they go, well, I could never pay for that. I could never afford that. I don't want to saddle my kids with debt, or whatever the reason is. It comes down to money, and literally the number one killer could soon be, affordability, non-adherence to prescription drugs. It shows how backwards the United States is, how we're willing to kill our grandparents over this pathetic, disgusting dumpster fire healthcare system. We are willing to watch them die so that we can continue a for-profit healthcare system that is like 1/6 or 1/7 of our economy, that enriches a tiny number of people while all of us pay so that they can get wealthier. It's totally, it's unbelievable to even think about. But the fact that people are willing to watch millions of Americans, their own parents and grandparents, die to defend this system is laughable. But yeah, that will soon be the number one killer of senior citizens.
And by the way, just, kind of fitting, but drug makers raised prices by 6.6% on average this year. We're only in February. So the companies kept most increases in the single digits. Why, thank you. For another year, as Congress explores measures to curb high costs. I've been hearing this Congress exploring measures to curb high costs. I believe the Democratic Party, I don't know how far back you go, but 2006, the Democrats took back Congress. Their whole thing was, we got to lower prescription drug costs. It's kind of like this election is the most important election of our lifetime thing that goes on every 4 years. The Democrats have been calling for this. And this is like one of the things they campaign on for years. Not that the Republicans are much better, but literally there's a lot of talk about lowering prescription drug costs, yet for some reason, it seems like we just never get there, Lee.
Yeah, I heard they're going to have a study to create a committee to develop a panel to look into passing a bill. So I'm pretty excited for that. That could happen any day now. No, it shows the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. The Republicans are basically like, yeah, we don't give a shit about drug prices. So poor senior citizens die. Who cares? And the Democrats are like, oh yeah, we care a lot. We're gonna do something about that one day. We really care. And they don't at all. So those are the difference. Do you want to be lied to your face, or do you want to, just accept that the politicians are saying, fuck you, we don't care. The Democrats have done nothing on this front. They talk as if they will, and it's always, they find some reason to get, we didn't have a big enough, a big enough majority in the House and Senate. It wasn't quite enough. When it came down to minimum wage, it was the parliamentarian, right? The parliamentarian stopped us some position no one's ever heard of before, somehow managed to stop the Democrats from increasing the minimum wage. They always come up with some reason, because this is one party, and people have to eventually realize it in order to create any large scale change. This is one party. They disagree very slightly on a couple of domestic issues, but in general, they agree on 80, 90% of the structural core issues of this country, entirely on foreign policy, entirely on endless surveillance, entirely on Wall Street, entirely on environmental destruction. They basically agree on all of this, and they make a big show of these tiny moments where they pretend to disagree. They'll disagree on whether we're going to have one more month of eviction moratorium, not disagree on whether there should be housing for all. That would be outlandish. We'll just disagree on one more month of eviction moratorium. It's that kind of ridiculous stuff that honestly should be a comedy show.
And by the way, I mean, speaking of censored stories, I don't hear this discussed on CNN. I don't really see it much in the pages of the New York Times. Listen, I hate the rough, not trying to poke the bee's nest of COVID people, COVID, anti-vax, this and that. We don't need to get into that. However, Moderna and Pfizer are killing half the world by not, or depriving half the world of vaccine equity by refusing to share their formula. The factories are ready in a lot of these countries, particularly third world countries, and the manufacturing capacity is there. They don't have the formula. Ralph Nader and others have said in emergency times, the United States government can overrule these pharmaceutical companies and basically seize the patent. But to me, that's one of the biggest scandals, that Biden, the U.S. government, Democratic Party, isn't forcing these pharmaceutical companies, which U.S. government funding in large part helped them even get these vaccines and these recipes. We're depriving the third world, which is in large part helping to create and foster new variants of COVID.
Yeah, it's similar to the weapons contractors. Profit should not be a motive in this. But of course, profit is an immense motive in these situations. Those companies have minted plenty more billionaires over the course of this pandemic. They are making billions of dollars by administering these vaccines, which our tax dollars helped create because it was connected to the U.S. government. And so we help create them, and then they enrich themselves, and they hide the patent from other countries. One that claimed at first when COVID began, they claimed they were going to have an open patent, open source, was AstraZeneca. And then apparently Bill Gates was pivotal in telling them to withhold their patent and to not give it away to other countries. Even to this day, I believe you have roughly 7% of Africa is vaccinated. And, I'm of this crazy nuanced view where, yes, the vaccines have saved millions of lives. It probably saved my father's life. And so I'm of that view, yet I'm opposed to the mandates because as one of the heads of the WHO said, I don't think it's the World Health Organization. It's not the World Health Organization position, but one of the heads said that mandates, when it comes to school, work, and travel, tend to come down to class issues and come down to socioeconomic background. And so you end up with places like Africa, where 7% are vaccinated. They now can't travel to how many countries because this vaccine apartheid system we have. So you can believe in science on one hand, and also believe that the way the mandates are set up now is very classist. It's a socioeconomic discrimination, and it's completely wrong. And the government and our media have only themselves to blame. They have created a corrupt system. You and I have just talked about a lot of that corruption, in that they are profit-based. They are profit-based when it comes to war. They're profit-based when it comes to health. And when you have that kind of corruption, guess what? People stop believing the shit you say. So if we know that they're going to go where the money takes them, then why should we believe them? And once you create a complete level of distrust in your nation, your community, your society, and then you go, oh my God, why are people saying they're not going to do what we say? Well, maybe because you are completely corrupt and you're just following dollar signs.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.